Hey everyone. All right. So I figured I'd do a quick video before I hit the gym. It's definitely a bit early for me, and I'm trying to get back on schedule after a vacation. So sorry if my energy levels are terrible in this one, but I just want to tell you like what it's like, for me, right? Basically, report to God every day. There's no time off. It's constant, and His angels, of course. So just trying to give you an idea of what it's like for you to be ready for heaven, right? You probably think, oh, I'm a good person. I'm ready for heaven. Everything's good. I do good things. And yeah, you probably do, right? You probably think you do. But it's different, right? Because what you don't realize is that you're constantly, it's almost like cell phones, right? I watched one of those documentaries or whatever. They were kind of telling how cell phones worked. And basically, like, the cell phones are constantly transmitting. You're constantly transmitting. They don't, as long as that thing is on, and who knows, maybe even if it's off, who knows what the government's doing. But if that thing's on, it's constantly transmitting. It's trying to find a tower. It's sending signals out. It's pinging. That's how you are. That's how your body works. That's how your mind works. So, I've mentioned it a few times, like nothing is hidden. You really need to understand that to get ready, to move on to the final destination, to get to heaven, right? You need to understand that, and you need to live like that. And you can't because you don't understand it. And, I lived 44 years as a normal human being, so I completely get it. I had no idea, right? Until I was woken up. And then I realized how it actually works. It's extremely humbling. You're going to realize how dirty you are, right? How dirty your mind is. Because you're constantly transmitting. So, as part of the process when I woke up is that I realized that nothing I did was hidden. Nothing I've ever done was hidden. Everything is known. God still loves me, even as screwed up as I was. And I'm still working through that, right? 44 years is a long time to try to offset. It's easier when you know that every single thing you do is basically written down in a book. It's part of your history. So you'll live an entirely different way when you realize that. Because there's a history. It's just like the internet, right? It's just like your digital footprints. Everything you do online. They can go back and it's stored in servers, who knows wherever those servers are, but everything you do online is stored, right? Your entire life is on there. So they can just hit the rewind button. They go see everything you've ever done, and they basically know how you think by your internet searches and the pictures you look at and the things you post and everything. So your whole life is basically on a server somewhere, and someone can just go pick through it whenever they want. So, that should be a good enough reason to be a great person, right? The fact that the governments can go look at every single thing. And, with AI, right, artificial intelligence, they can have that run through your profile and basically have you figured out in probably a couple of nanoseconds, know exactly who you are, how you're going to vote, and probably predict, what you're going to do 3 weeks from now. I don't know. Pretty scary stuff. But yeah, everything you do is on a server somewhere. And that's probably been stored for the last 30, 40 years. Who knows? I don't work on those programs. But that's basically how it works with God, except it's on an even more grand scale, right? Because you figure the government can only track, what you've done on a computer. So for as long as we've had, mass computers, personal computers, and people have been using them, yeah, they can go back. All that's stored. They can go back to, I don't know. I'm not sure what the date is of, like, if you were born on this date, basically everything you've ever done in your life is on a server. I don't know what that date is. I'm sure someone in the government could tell you. I don't know. But I think it goes back a long way. So, but that's how it is with God. So not only is the government tracking everything you do, from everything that we do on here, all the videos we post and social media and internet searches and everything. Your whole life is digital. So, yeah. But it's even worse than that. Like, you think that's an invasion of your privacy, that the government knows everything you're doing? And which really means that all the governments know, because they all kind of steal from each other. But if you think that's intrusive enough, imagine it on like a spiritual level. Even before the government's figured out how to track everything, and I'm not talking about going back to like your phone records back when it all started. I'm talking like since you were born. I don't care how old you've been. Everything is on God's server. Everything you've ever done, everything you've ever thought, every action you've taken, actions you didn't take. It doesn't matter because it all went through your brain, right? So the best way I can describe it, since I live it every day and, I know how it works, so I might as well tell you so you know how it works, so you're not caught off guard, so that you live in a right way. So I'm going to give you, I think it's an analogy. I don't think it's a metaphor. I'm not really sure. I think it's an analogy. But the way it works, almost like a cell phone, but even worse, right? You got to imagine every single day that you're alive in this body that you currently have. Every day. You got two shoulders, right? Probably. On one shoulder, you're going to have like a computer. Imagine a computer screen, right? So right over here, you got a computer screen. And on that computer screen is a visual of whatever happens to be in your mind at that exact moment. The exact moment. Instantaneous. Doesn't even take the time to go through any kind of chord. Just literally whatever's on your... If I'm thinking of a cat, you're going to see a cat over here, right? If I'm thinking of a volcano, you're going to see a volcano. That's how it works. So over here, you've got the picture of whatever I happen to be thinking of at that exact moment. And if my mind's fluttering around like it usually does, you're going to see just pictures upon pictures upon pictures just constantly cycling over here. That's how my mind works. So, pictures. But imagine I'm walking around, right? You go to the grocery store and you see me. And there's a freaking monitor on the side of my head hanging off my shoulder over here like the Predator, right? And it's just literally showing you everything that's on my mind. And there's absolutely nothing I can do to hide it. I can't turn the monitor off. I can't put a sheet over it. I can't smash it and break it. There's nothing I can do. I'm literally walking around with a monitor, and you can just look at me and see exactly what's on my mind. At least the picture, right? That's just the picture portion. And then you got to imagine over here, there's this big loudspeaker. And whatever I'm thinking, like, you know how you have like internal dialogue, you say like, whatever in your mind, right? You see some person walk in front of you, right? And they're attractive, right? They're wearing some short shorts or whatever. I don't know, whatever. And you got this big loudspeaker over here. And it's basically projecting constantly whatever mental dialogue you're having, right? So if that person walks in front of you, you're like, oh, wow, great, great body part. Okay. Well, now imagine that speaker. There's no way to turn it off. It's on all the time. And it's loud. It's cranked up. You got the volume up high on that baby. Okay. So you're walking around. I got this big old speaker over here that's just projecting whatever I'm thinking. Whatever's in my mind is just boom, boom, boom. It's out there. So I'm walking. What are you doing? Hey, trying to make a video here. So imagine you're walking around in a grocery store. We'll just do one mental exercise. So I've got my cart, I'm pushing my cart down the aisle. Big old speaker over here. Big old monitor on this side, right? Both of these things constantly projecting. Someone of the opposite sex walks in front of you. They're attractive. They got on seductive clothing, right? Dressed a little too provocatively. There is something to be said for modesty, people. So they're walking through the store, right? They're walking in front of you. They haven't done anything wrong. They're dressed probably a little too provocative for being out in public, but hey, you have free will. Some people exercise that a little too much. So they're walking in front of you, right? They look over, they give you like a little side eye, whatever. I don't know. Maybe they don't look at you at all. Maybe they're walking away from you, right? And they got super tight pants on. I don't know. Figure it out. It's an exercise. They're walking in front of you, right? What happens? Well, you've been programmed from this world, right? Pornography, suggestive movies, movies selling sex, right? Sex sells, right? Sex and violence, they sell. So this person, they're walking in front of you, really attractive, super tight clothing on. What happens? Well, what happens if they're walking away is your eyes are going to do what pretty much all of your eyes do. They're going to immediately like gravitate down to the buttocks area, right? And as soon as they do, what's going to happen? On this little monitor over here, it's going to show up something. I don't know you. You know you. You'll know what's going to be on that monitor. I don't, right? I can make assumptions. Pretty sure I know what's going to be on that monitor, right? And then over here on this big old loudspeaker, what is going to go through your mind, right? It's a mental exercise. You got to work with me here. Pushing your cart, very attractive, opposite sex, walks in front of you, same sex, whatever, I don't care. Something you're attracted to walks in front of you, go in the other direction. They're not looking at you in this exercise, right? Their eyes are focused here. You're pushing your cart. They're looking over there. They can't see you, right? They don't know what you're thinking, right? And they can't see what they're human beings, right? So let's just say they can't see what you're looking at. So they're walking there. You're walking here with the cart. They can't see you. All you can see is the back of their body. Super tight clothing, right? Work with me here. Your eyes will almost always, I'm pretty sure it's always for most of you, they're going to go straight down, right? You're checking out the buttocks, the legs, whatever you're into. What is that speaker on the side of your shoulder, right? The big one right here. What is it going to be projecting? Because keep in mind, you can't stop it. The monitor's always on, showing everyone else what you're thinking of in your mind. As those images appear, real time. No way to stop it. Big old speaker, right? It's projecting out whatever mental conversation is going on in your mind, which is almost all the time, right? So you see this person, they're walking away, they're looking away, they can't see you. What is that big old speaker on your shoulder? What is it projecting out to the entire grocery store? And what images are going to be right there? So now imagine this person's walking away. You look down, you check them out, boom, speaker goes off. It projects, hey, wow, what a great behind. Oh man, I love that. Whatever is going to go through your mind. I don't know you. We're all different, right? But whatever's on your mind is going to come off on this speaker, and it's going to be loud, and everyone in the store is going to hear it. Everyone. And then that person is going to turn around, offended probably. What did you just say? And as soon as they turn around and get offended, then they're looking at you, right? Then they're going to see this monitor on your shoulder, and they're going to see whatever it is you're thinking of, when you look down at them when they were walking away, like whatever you were looking at. You're going to see that. So they're going to be offended already, right? Because the speaker went off. It's like, hey, great butt or whatever, whatever you're looking at. Great chest or face. I don't know. And they're going to turn around. You don't know this person. They're going to be really upset, offended. And if you thought they were offended then, wait until they see whatever's on that monitor, right? That's creeping around in your head. Whatever picture's on your mind's going to be here. And you get this big honking speaker just saying whatever's on your mind. And there's no way to turn it off. It's impossible. You're constantly transmitting just like a cell phone. You're like ping, bing, 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 bing. You're looking for a tower. That's how your body works. And that's how it works with God and the angels. So as you're projecting all the time, because you are, even when you're dreaming, it doesn't matter. But yeah, you're constantly projecting. Now imagine living like that. You think you're ready for heaven? No, probably not. Imagine living in a world like that. Would you even want to be there? Would you want to be in heaven? Would you be comfortable walking around with that big speaker on and that big monitor strapped right here? Boom, monitor, big old speaker, constantly transmitting, right? Would you even be happy in a place like that? Would you want to go there? Because trust me, if you're a human being living on this planet, like I have been for the last 44 years, you're programmed and your mind is so screwed up. And you won't realize it until you get that speaker installed. And until you get that monitor installed, and until you're walking around and 24 hours a day, you're transmitting. And God hears it and sees it, and so do the angels. And there's nowhere to hide. I can't turn the monitor off. I can't turn the speaker off. So everyone that I'm interacting with is going to know exactly what mental conversations are going on in my mind. Whether I say them or not, it's irrelevant. The second I've had the thought, it's too late. It's already out there. And it's known. Shh, shh, shh. It's already out there and it's known. Right? That's how ready you're going to have to be for heaven. So, yeah, that's what you need to understand. You might think you're ready, but until you get that speaker installed, that big loudspeaker, and then that monitor installed, and everyone can see everything you're thinking about picture-wise, everything you're thinking, every conversation you're having in your head is being broadcast out for everyone. That's the level you're going to have to be on to go to heaven. And I know people don't like to hear about reincarnation, but sorry. One lifetime to be that ready to go to heaven, to be in a situation like that, surrounded by a lot of other beings that are going to know everything that's on your mind immediately, and you will have no control over it. The angels are going to know what you're thinking, it doesn't matter what you say. The second it pops in your mind, all those little mental conversations you have with yourself, you're transmitting the whole time. That's why I didn't get it. I had no idea how screwed up my mind was from living here. I didn't understand it until I had those two devices installed. And then I realized, God. Yes, I'm Christ. So it's really strange, trust me. The Trinity, I didn't even understand it until I lived it. God Almighty, right? He's upstairs. Well, he's technically everywhere. And let me correct that. I know I always say that, God, I use that, but it's just what I'm used to using, right? This is where I am. But obviously God is light, right? God is light. It's not a man or a woman, right? It's God. It's the all-knowing God, not the human representation that's sitting here, not Christ. That's different. It's the Trinity. You may understand that by now. I know it's a difficult one, right? Father, Son, Holy Spirit, which resides in all believers. But, yeah, so obviously the all-knowing God is upstairs, and also Christ at the same time. Human form. I don't have the luxury of all of that knowledge, right? And all of that power. You couldn't be in the presence of God. It would be too much. So, you get Christ instead. Someone you can relate to, hopefully. But that's how ready you're going to have to be to go to heaven, right? To eventually get there. Could you technically get there in one lifetime? I guess it's possible. But if you grew up here and you're anything like me, that's a tall order. Because you'd have to be ready to live in a place where every single thing that you think and every conversation that you have in your mind with yourself is known and projected. So you have to be, your mind has to be in such a state that you would be totally able to just walk around and have everything that you think be known and be good, right? Because you have to imagine how it's going to make you feel. Once you have that big loudspeaker installed in that monitor, you're going to feel dirty. You're going to feel ashamed because you grew up here. And that's what this world values, right? Sex, money, fame, power, structures, right? I'm a level 5 and you're just a level 2, right? Any structures. Trust me, I've got a timeshare. I understand what what levels are, and bronze level and silver and gold. What a bunch of garbage. Anytime you get into like leveling, like a caste system, something like that, anytime you're getting into a system where you're putting people in little buckets, like, oh, you're only a bucket 2, you're not a bucket 5, your system's broken. God created us all, and granted, we put ourselves in little buckets, as far as like holiness goes, but that's on us. It's not someone else telling you that. It's just, from your actions and your thoughts. That's the bucket you put yourself in. But yeah, we're horrible about that, putting people in buckets. Shh. It's almost like a caste system. I don't want to pick on India, but I'm sure there's other places that have caste systems, but it's just horrible, God made all of us, and we're all the same, right? We're all given the same choices, same options, right, in life. If anyone's going to put people in buckets or boxes or anything else, categories, it's God. That's God's job. It's not yours. You don't get to decide that. You don't have that power. And for good reason. You wouldn't know how to use it. But that's it. I just wanted you to know, like, how ready you're going to have to be to go to heaven, right? To eventually get there. That's the level you're going to have to be on. You're going to have to get your mind trained so well and be such a great person that you can walk around and every single thought on your mind will be known by everyone. Picture a grocery store, movie theater, sporting event, going to your child's recital, anything. Just imagine going anywhere, and hearing any like sexually triggering words or phrases or people and how they dress. It's anything, just interacting with people. Or think like this, right? Imagine you're going to the store. We want to use the hot person. We'll leave that person alone. Imagine you're going to the store, right? And instead of that really attractive person that was walking away from you, right, that couldn't see you, instead, let's say it's like a poor person, someone you think is poor, right? You look at their clothes, they're all disheveled. They don't have like nice clothes on. I don't know. Maybe their hair is all frizzied up, or they got like a physical deformity. Let's go there. So, there's something wrong with them. I don't know. Just picture it, some kind of physical deformity, right? And you're like, they're moving around. They seem disheveled or homeless or whatever. Maybe they got a smell to them, right? You have to imagine, like, what would you think in your mind as that person's walking? Like, ooh, look at that poor person. Ooh, gosh, don't get too close to them, right? Or look at that person. Ooh, they got this deformity. I don't want to get near them. And that's fine, right? Because you're walking through the grocery store. You do it all the time, right? You probably don't even realize it because you don't have that speaker installed yet, and you don't have that monitor. But just imagine you're walking to the store and that person goes in front of you, and then all of a sudden, from behind them is this big loudspeaker, like, oh, look at that poor person. They turn around, they're going to be like super offended and want to fight with you probably. And then as soon as they turn around, they're going to see that monitor, and they're going to see whatever, mental images are on your mind. They're going to see it right there. They're going to be even more upset. And then as soon as they get upset, your loudspeaker's going to go off. And it's going to be like, oh, you poor piece of crap, get out, whatever's on your mind. It's going to be just blaring out of that speaker. It would drive you absolutely insane. Probably in a day. I don't know if you'd make it a week. Probably not. You'd be in a nut house. I'm sorry. You'd be in like a mental health facility. But that's how ready you're going to have to be. And you don't realize how dirty you are yet. Just like I did. I'm not throwing stones here. I grew up here. I get it. I made the same mistakes you do. But now, I work for God. Even though it's the Trinity, right? So, but that's my boss. And God has angels, and they have a lot more power than I do, right? Because I'm in a physical body. So I work, with God's staff, and they work with me. But yeah, I know how it works. I know how clean you're going to have to be, and I know how difficult that is. Because I grew up in this world, and I know how this world programs you. From the media to the music, to, television, the news, it's just programming you. You're sitting here staring at the box, just getting programmed. So I'm trying to like undo all of your programming with a short little video, and I know that's going to be difficult, but thankfully it's on YouTube, right? You can go back and watch it. If you forget, go back and watch it. And I want you to do that mental exercise. You need to keep that in mind, right? You want to go to heaven eventually. Great. Sounds awesome. But you need to decide if that's even somewhere you'd want to be. Because you grew up here, and this isn't heaven. You're in the middle, right? It's a very bad place, reserved for very bad people. We're in the middle, right? You got the VIP section up top. So if you want to be there, would you want to be there, right? Because when you get there, you won't be able to hide any of the thoughts in your mind. You can't. You're going to be transmitting constantly transmitting. Whatever mental dialogue is going on, it's going to be pumping out. Whatever mental images you have right here. You're going to have to be that clean, pristine. They said the road was narrow, but you didn't realize how narrow the road actually was. It's very narrow. That's why you're not, required to nail it the first time. Because how could you? You're just in one little body, and you're born in one place, and you have one experience. Experience is the greatest teacher of all. It gives you perspective that you could never get unless you experienced it as that person or being or whatever. That's the ultimate teacher. But I'm giving you, that's your homework assignment. You want to get ready for heaven? Do you want to go home? Sure. Cool. Get your mind right. Get your values right. Think about it as you're walking around doing whatever you're doing. Whatever mental dialogue you're having, just imagine it projecting on a big old speaker with a monitor showing what you're thinking about, visual images. And then realize how dirty you're going to feel once you get those installed. And you can fix it, you can change it, and it requires work. You're going to have to catch yourself having those thoughts, and you're going to have to stop them. And you're going to have to catch yourself having those images, and you're going to have to stop them. And it's going to be really hard. It's going to take some work, man. It's like anything else. You got to work at it. It's going to be, something you deal with every day. But you're going to have to catch those thoughts and stop them and change them and redirect them. And eventually it gets easier. But, because we live in this world, it's going to be difficult for you to do it. But you can do it. You can absolutely do it. And you need to do it because you need to understand that everything you're doing is going down in a book. It's all documented. You think the government's bad, right? Having all your digital records. God's got access to a lot more than that. The government has all your internet searches and all that. That's cool. Yeah, great. Whatever. I can go off grid, right? I can go out in the woods. I can get a well for my water, collect rainwater. I can grow my own vegetables. I can not use a phone, not use the internet. Yeah, you can do all that. But you're still in God's network. You're connected to that whether you want to be or not. 24/7 for your entire life. And everything is on God's server. You need to understand that. Because that's going to have a great impact on you. Especially when you die and you figure that out. So I'm giving you a heads up. You're going to get to look at that file after you die. And I sure hope it's something you're going to be proud of. Because I guarantee there's going to be a lot of moments in there you're not going to want to see. But your eyes are going to be peeled wide open. Pinned back. And you're going to have to look at it. God's going to open up his file and download it into you real time. And it's going to be the most humbling experience you've ever had. You can't even imagine what it's like. So the best way to get ready for that is you might as well live. You should know, right? Someone should tell you that you're on God's server all the time. And the history on that log file It goes back forever. Forever and ever. You've got a very large file on God's server. Everything is in it. And it doesn't matter if you did it. Your thoughts are in there too. Your mental images are in there. So you need to start living like you know that you're on God's server. Pretend it's just like the government. Tracking, storing everything in a little file. That's how it works. Right? That's production. We're in the dev environment right now. Right? But everything is on God's server. So you need to start living your life like you have that big speaker that's projecting out for everyone to hear, and that monitor for everyone to see what's on your mind. And when you live in such a way, in a righteous way to keep God happy, to where you're okay with whatever that speaker says and whatever that monitor shows, then you're ready. But I'll guarantee you're not ready. Because if those two things were installed on you today, you would probably be so shamed you wouldn't leave the house. You'd stay in the house and you'd probably lock yourself in your room because you'd be terrified of what's going to come out of that speaker and what's going to come out of that monitor. So if you're not proud of what's in your mind, understand that it's all being documented. God's got a file on you. And the angels can see it, and God can see it. And you're going to see it. That file is going to be open, and it's going to be crammed into you when you die. So you better be proud of what's on there. And you better start living like you know that everything's on that file, because it is. So be a good person. Help people. Get your mind in check. If your mind is filthy, and it probably is, you need to clean your mind up. Because eventually, when you make it to production, you're going to be surrounded and you're going to have everyone know everything that you're thinking. It won't even matter if you act on it. It'll be too late. The second the thought is in your mind, it's done. You've already sent that signal out. It's already bounced off the towers. Everyone already knows. So, God's very forgiving, right? You should pray. You should ask for forgiveness. But most importantly, you should change your ways. There's nothing wrong with having a dirty file. I had a dirty file. I did a lot of drugs. I had premarital sex. I was a stupid kid. Didn't care. I was agnostic. I did all the dumb things you do. So my file was dirty too. But because of who I am, and now I realize that was part of, the story that was written, so that I could use it later to help you. So now I understand why I was such a screw up. But I'm here to teach you through all of my screw ups. Get your file right. It's okay to have a bad file as long as you fix it. Right? Fix the programming. Right? Deploy a hotfix. Get it done. Get your mind right. Keep in mind, a file is being created all the time your entire life. You're going to see it again, but you're going to see it in a different way. You're going to see it how God sees it and the angels see it, which includes all of your thoughts and images, not just your actions. You need to be ready for that, and you need to start living correctly. Get your mind straightened out. This world has infected you, and you won't understand that until you can't hide anything. Even if you're in a basement, even if you're in a cave by yourself, 300 meters down, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Even in that situation, you've still got your mind, right? Even if you're in solitary confinement, you're still having mental dialogue. You're still having mental images. All of that's going in your file. So, control your mind and live in a very righteous way and help people. And then you're going to end up in a really awesome place when you're ready. But I'm telling you how it works now so that you can get ready. So go out there today, be a great person, help people. If you can help them financially, do that. If you don't have money like me, I'm unemployed. I don't even know if I could work right now. I feel like this is the only thing I can do is share information because I don't really have, any money. I don't have any income, and I can't focus on a job, which is why I had to quit my old job because this is all I think about, stuff like this. And I don't know, I guess you hate my videos, so I'm not going to make any money doing this. Try to do photography. You don't like that either, so I'm not going to make money doing that. So I'm just going to go broke. I'm just going to burn through my retirement. I don't have medical insurance. So I'm just going to burn through all that, and I'm just going to go bankrupt. Try to get a job at Publix. They wouldn't even hire me. So, whatever. Guess this is it. So, but hey, at least I can teach you while I go bankrupt. So, it's fine. Whatever. So, but yeah, that's it. So now you know how it works. And if you try to do that mental exercise, you're going to realize how much work you have to do. But I just wanted you to know. So it's not a surprise when you finally die, and you shed that body. But just keep in mind, loudspeaker, monitor, everything's known. Of course, everyone knows what you actually do, what you physically do. But that's really not even the crux of it, right? The issue is what you think, what's going on in your mind. And you're like a gigantic cell phone, constantly projecting, pinging off God's tower all the time. So, I don't even know if you'll want that information, but that's how it works. So, be an awesome person, help people, and get your mind in check. All right. Love you lots. Have a great week. See ya.